Yo, yo, yo! This is my jam. This is my intro music for today. You feeling it? I don't know if y'all can hear it through the mic. I don't know if you can hear me through the mic. You can hear me say something. I don't know who's watching, who's not. I don't like this new Facebook out thing, but whatever. All right, so intro music done. Hello, everybody. So, real quick, go live. And what I'm going to talk about here is deed of trust. Why? Because, well, it's a rare deed type in the land investing biz. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because, as I told you from the beginning of this group is about me helping you make money in the land investing business. So, right now, I'm actually going through this right now. If you guys saw my post yesterday about me buying a couple of properties in this fancy area and all that, well, as I was doing my research, maybe 2 minutes in, I saw that there was a deed of trust, and then that actually signaled something to show me something. I wouldn't say it's not right, but not complete. So, a little background: a deed of trust is just basically a deed that is used when you actually buy a property with like a mortgage or you're paying it off. And it's very common for homes, but not so common when you're buying land. And what happens is, if I buy a property from a developer or just somebody else, maybe from a loan from a bank or whatever, I will get a deed of trust, meaning I am the quote unquote owner of the property, but I don't actually have the title yet. It's kind of the same way when you're actually buying a car and you're paying off your car payments, so you don't necessarily have the pink slip just yet, but you still own the car. So deed of trust is the same thing. Now, here's the thing. When I was looking at this person's property or looking up his person's property, doing the research, I didn't see what was the important thing of a deed of reconveyance. And a deed of reconveyance is basically saying, hey, this person paid off their debt, and the third party who was holding on to that, the actual title, until that person paid off everything. Well, here's the deed of reconveyance that show they paid it off and it's now fully theirs, and it is what it is. When you don't see that, one or two things happen. One, either the person actually never paid it off the property, so you can't legally buy it easily. I'm sure there's ways around it, but I wouldn't touch it. Or two, maybe they did pay it off, but either the person, that third party that was holding on to the title, they didn't actually do their part and actually give the owner the new deed of reconveyance, and or they did give it to him and that owner didn't record that deed of reconveyance with the county. So what has to happen is, this person that I'm looking to buy his property for $500 needs to talk to the people who sold him the property. They need to make sure that he actually paid off everything, and then from there they're going to give him a deed of reconveyance or they will record it on his behalf. And once that happens, then now the property is fully his, and then he can easily sell it to me, for example. But before that, I can't touch it. So while it's easy to get excited about a deal, you can't get excited until you have the deed in hand. You've actually paid for it. You sent them a deed. They had it notarized and they sent it back to you. Now you have it, so you can actually record it yourself. So when you see a deed of trust, make sure you also see a deed of reconveyance for that property in particular, issued after the date of the deed of trust. It's got to be after, just to make sure that you're looking at the right property. But that is the thing that you're going to look out for. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up, because this is very rare in the land business, because most people don't have deed of trust or deed of reconveyance for land. They usually just have the standard quitclaim deed, which is a deed that's saying, here, this property is yours. I don't know what's going on with it. I don't know what's going on with the title. I don't know what's going on with the property itself, but it's yours. You have the grant deed. It's like, hey, you paid for this. There's no warranties of any kind, meaning I'm not going to actually guarantee that there's no weirdness with the title or anything, but it is your property now, and I've accepted money for it. That is a common deed I use for when I'm buying property, just so it makes it easier for the seller, so they're not on the hook for something. You don't want weird or nervous sellers, because then they don't actually follow through with their commitment. And you have the special warranty deed saying, hey, while I've owned this property, no encumbrances are on the title. There's nothing weird that happened while I've owned it. What happened before I had it, I can't tell you, but while I've had it, it's been good. And you have the warranty deed, meaning I can, for the long back as this property's been available, I can verify that this property, there's no weirdness with title, there's no weirdness with ownership. So there. So obviously, if you buy property as an individual, you want to buy it on a warranty deed. So if something were to come back and be like, hey, the the county says I don't own this property anymore, well, the person who sold it to you, they're on the hook for it because they basically guaranteed that it was good. Um, so yeah, that's that. Now, something else I want to get into real quick, because I really want to make this short because I got other things to do. I got more people to call back. People are calling me to try me sell their property, and I got to do research on the area. I saw in a different Facebook group that I'm a member of, that I don't really post in much, but I'm just because I just don't feel like it. It's another land investing group. There's a lot of land investing groups out there. This one had a individual that was saying basically I sent out my first mailer about a month ago, got many upset responses, and only one response to someone who actually wanted to sell. I was really excited and found out the property is landlocked. After sending out 2,700 mailers, I am reluctant to send another one to to another county because of the potential of having no sales. Can anybody relate? Any words of wisdom or inspiration? Now, in that, I will say this. I actually did respond to this individual. And in general, let's see, a lot of people actually responded. A lot of people are actually trying to be encouraging. Hey, you got to keep mailing. I had to send thousands and thousands of letters before I got my first deal, this and that. And I think that's cool. But the first thing I said was, look, how are you picking these counties to mail to? How are you creating your list? How are you pricing your lots? Okay. Who can, and I like, so that was the first three things that I need to know if they actually help this person, because if they're just picking it because someone else told them to mail there, if they're actually sending crappy offers, or if they are actually not really getting good lists, meaning finding the people who are more willing to sell than just anybody who owns property, this is going to be the result more often than not. You know what else I didn't ask is, what do you actually say in your mailers? Because a lot of times that's half the battle. Actually being able to have the right words that make people want to pick up the phone and call you up, or however you want them to respond to you, is a big deal. And again, being available when people actually do contact you. Now, this person is so focused on sending so many letters and only having one potential deal that they didn't actually focus on, hey, they actually got some response. They could actually use that one response, so even though it's landlocked, meaning that that property is surrounded by other private property, and to get to that property, you'll have to trespass to get there. They didn't realize they can still buy that property for super, super cheap because that is landlocked. That's your bargaining chip. That's your negotiation chip. So what they could actually do is take that property, buy it for like $50, $100. Like, look, you either sell me this landlocked property or you don't. Because look, if I don't buy it, then I don't have to worry about it. No big deal. If I do buy it, well, you get to get it off your hands and not pay property taxes on something you're not going to use that's landlocked. Now, if I were to buy that landlocked property, the first thing I would do is contact every single owner that has adjacent property. And if I phrase it in just the right way, which I can show you how to do in a future video, but basically saying, hey, you can extend the range of your property for pennies on the dollar, most people are like willing, especially if you get a couple of those neighbors kind of bidding it out. You can actually make a sale really quickly, and you don't got to worry about it being landlocked because you're selling to someone who really wants that property. So that is something they can do. But she was so focused on not getting this massive result as a rookie that she's seeing the wrong thing. Now, besides that, I also said this: who cares if people are angry? That is their problem, not yours. But the real reason is nobody is calling you to sell. That means you need to make an adjustment and try again. Oftentimes, I will make an offer out to people, and when they call me back, most of them do not like the offer that I gave them. And so then I'll ask them, so what's reasonable for you? Now, sometimes they come up with some dumbass bullshit like, oh, yeah, I want $50,000. I'm like, hey, well, I won't say what I was going to say, but I politely decline and hang up the phone. Now, some others, not as often, but it does happen. They'll actually give me a reasonable counteroffer. Like, hey, okay, I can't do 700, but I'll take 1,200. And if I know my numbers, if it's an area I've worked in before, and I know like, okay, I can sell this lot for 3,000 or whatever, I'm like, all right, I'll take it. Right? I'll rather lose, or excuse me, not make 500 less than not make anything at all. I'd rather get the experience of having another deal and verifying my systems than being afraid just because my margins would be slightly smaller, right? So you always ask. Now, depending on how, you got to ask it the right way so you actually get some useful information. But in general, you got to focus on that. Now, the last piece of advice I would say to I said to this person is, if you don't have more money for mailers, because this person did mention that they don't have any more money because they spent so many out, use text messaging. So without going into detail, I was trying to let this person know about my escape velocity strategy. Again, I do use mailers as well, but text messaging is much cheaper. But because it's cheaper, you do got to put in a little bit more effort just answering texts and things like that. But you get deals within an hour. So it moves really quickly, and that definitely would lift her spirits. It will definitely get her confidence up, and it will help her do what she wants to do. And then somebody was asking, "Hey, oh, somebody actually replied to that. Oh, okay. Well, I need to answer that. Anyways, um, what's I saying? Oh, yeah. So yeah, there's that. Now, last thing I want to say before I end this: if you're going to be in this business, you got to be in the business. You got to start to actually see yourself as a land investor. It doesn't mean that you don't have other interests or priorities. It just means that this isn't something that you're kind of dabbling with. That's why it's very important that you understand you can't dabble. You got to really go for it. So I have a book that I wrote. Where is it? Get off the bench. It's a book I wrote last year, and in it I talk about the importance of having the proper identity. When I first started land investing, I started to bring my software engineering background into land investing. So I was making a lot of unnecessary software for myself. Yeah, it was fun to do, but it wasn't helping me get deals. And I kept trying to squeeze things into my current worldview as opposed to kind of adjusting myself so I can be more effective. It's kind of like, hey, I play football. Now I want to play basketball, but instead of using my basketball skills or learning basketball skills and those fundamentals, I'm just going to try to use what I do in football and make it work. It doesn't. That's bullshit. You don't do stupid shit like that. I mean, you can do it, but it's not going to be very effective. And that's what I was doing. I think that's what a lot of us do. We try to take our current skills, which is good. We want to take some of those skills and bring them over, but we can't just see things in the way we always see things. So if you're a secretary right now, and you always see yourself as a secretary, it's going to be hard for you to make the adjustment. So you got to change how you see yourself and what things you can do as you change that identity, at least around this business. And I think this individual who had a tough time mailing, they're having a tough time because they're still seeing themselves in a certain way, and they're just kind of hoping things work. They're kind of putting it out there, and did it work? Did it work? Oh, it's not working. Nothing works. This sucks. It's not how it works. It's not how it goes. And in fact, there's another person who replied to that saying, oh, yeah, man, the market is this, the economy is that. This when I said, hey, I replied to that person, listen, since April, I've made 50 deals. That's not 50 people responding to letters. That's more. I've 50 people who agreed to sell to me, and I sold the property to somebody else. Same economy. I'm under the same conditions, and I more or less do the kind of the general same thing that we're all trying to do. I still have the escape velocity strategy, but still. So it's never outside circumstances. It's always with us. That's why I keep harping on the mindset. That's why I keep harping on it. Anyways, that is it. Oh, one last thing. There will be a nice, I'm going to have something for you guys on Monday. I'm actually really excited. I've been working very hard behind the scenes. I was going to tease it a little bit more on Monday, but I'll tease it a little bit here. So I want you guys to get excited for it. That's it for today. I turned off my theme music. But that's it for today. Hopefully you found this useful. Just to recap, when you have a deed of trust, you need a deed of reconveyance. When you see that, then you know the person who's owning the property, they finally paid it off outright. If you don't see that, then there's issues and you can't do the deal, or it's not as easy. When you're mailing or you're just trying to contact owners, make sure you're staying consistent with it and have that belief that it's going to happen and be ready for it. Have your systems ready. Other than that, I have nothing else. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this Friday the 13th, which is kind of crazy that it's the Friday the 13th, but it is what it is. All right. I'm out. Peace.